Don't be alarmed, sometimes my shit scrapes just because we're so low.
I have my lower ball joint that is rubbing up against the rotor. So that's the gap that I'm working with. I heard this fuse pop. This one just isn't activating, so you can see a lot of play. It usually doesn't happen, and my relay keeps blowing every single time. So I know I put this on wrong for sure because I just pulled it out.
In the last episode, I installed the carbon fiber panels from Heel Toe Automotive and managed to get a custom stainless steel exhaust to pair with it. And in all honesty, this thing has been a blast to drive. Since I have roughly a 100-mile commute, all that driving has come with a variety of data points on how everything works and a constant reminder of what doesn't work.
We made it.
So let's dive in to the new set of issues the CRX has blessed us with. In this episode, I want to go through 3 areas of concern for the CRX and what I think is causing them. First up, and most importantly, the suspension. Since we did the big brake overhaul and essentially took apart and reinstalled the entire suspension with Integra parts, I'm inclined to suspect that that would cause some interference. Second up, the front and rear windshield wipers are not engaging and turning on at all. I suspect it's because the instrument stocks have a lot of play in them, causing a short that blows my fuse. And lastly, more of an annoyance than anything, but the sunroof intermittently opens and closes depending on how it feels. I suspect here it's a combination of the switch not working and the sunroof slides not being properly lubricated. So let's dive deep on how I diagnose each one of these concerns, as well as some smaller issues and events happening in between it all. Let's go. Starting with the sunroof. When I first got the car, it worked perfectly, to be honest. But over time, I started feeling some more resistance, and now it's just been stuck open for the past 2 weeks. So I checked the service manual, tested the switch, it was still good. So I reinstalled it, but nothing changed. The manual also mentioned that if the system sees too much resistance in the rails, it won't close to protect the motor. That makes sense, but at this point, I knew it was more of a mechanical issue, likely binding in the rails. I also noticed condensation inside, which made me think the drain tubes might be clogged, but honestly, I just wanted this thing closed. Luckily, when I picked up the replacement sunroof later that week, the seller showed me this hidden access point that you could manually close with the tool. And that was pretty wild to me, because it's basically like a built-in failsafe that the engineers added in there. It's almost like the engineers knew the system would eventually have issues and planned for it. Now, even though the sunroof isn't fully fixed yet, I'm saving that for a full teardown video. Grease the rails, unclog the drain tubes, and install the new sunroof. That deserves its own video. But with it finally closed, I moved on to the next issue. The broken wiper stock. I had originally found a replacement for it, but it turned out to be from an 85 model, and those didn't come standard with the rear wiper. So I just had to take this as a learning lesson, and for now, I had to stick with the original setup and just hope I didn't get caught in the rain. Luckily, I'm in California, and also, I know I have an alternative by being able to swap the parts to make it work. But instead, I took the opportunity to install something better. I recently purchased a Momo hub and a wood grain steering wheel as well. The install went smooth, nothing out of the ordinary. But since it was pretty late at night, I did kind of rush the wire setup and didn't really get it all fully connected. So once again, I'll just push that for another day, but at least I'll look cool when I drive. And even though I'm not going to be able to honk at people, I know I have other cars that I could do that with. So I wanted to introduce a couple other cars, if you haven't seen them already, that I have on my fleet. I have my 92 Nissan 300ZX NA with the 5-speed manual. And then also, I haven't really introduced this one at all, but I have a whole other video that I wanted to post on it, a 1991 Jeep CJ7. This one honestly has been neglected and hasn't really been shown on the channel, but I hope to really put out some content on it soon. So as you can kind of tell, I have a lot going on, and I can't really get to all the issues on the CRX in a timely manner. So I decided to make an executive order and drop off the CRX with my mechanic to help with a few things. Timing belt, idle issues, and that horrific suspension noise. But to my surprise, even they couldn't immediately pinpoint where the interference was coming from. So at this point, I knew I had to go deeper myself.
Fine. I'll do it myself.
As we move on to figuring out where the scraping is coming from on the CRX, I first wanted to inspect if there were any obvious wear and tear on the suspension. So I jacked up the car and started simulating real conditions, compressing and extending the suspension by hand, turning the wheels, and rotating the wheels about the shock. Anything to paint a picture of what's happening. Then, that's when it finally hit me. The aftermarket radius arms have a larger casting on the ball joint, and on their suspension travel, the geometry causes it to contact the rotor. Now, this could be for a variety of reasons. As the suspension extends, the control arm angle increases, and as the shock compresses, it brings both the rotor and the ball joint closer together until they clash. But in my eyes, the solution isn't just one fix. It's a combination of multiple things. First, adjusting ride height using the torsion bars to restore the proper geometry as intended in the service manual. Second, upgrading the shocks to improve dampening and reduce that excessive travel on bumps. And third, modifying the radius arm castings to physically increase clearance. But for now, I raised the torsion bars to the recommended height on the service manual, roughly 25 3/8 on the front, and verified that my rears were at the service limit of 24 5/8. With the ride height increased, it essentially means that the distance from the rotor and the ball joint has increased as well. However, that still leaves a scenario of when I go over bumps. For that, I plan to replace all the shocks with brand new OEM KYB shocks, as well as install a front and rear strut brace to help transfer the load better on all those bumps. I know to some, this video might be all over the place, but in reality, it's a great representation of how this build is going for me. There's a lot of things going on, there's a lot of things to fix, and I just have to prioritize what makes the most sense for me. So stay tuned for the next couple episodes because we're going to be doing a lot. We'll be fixing the suspension issue that we mentioned earlier. We'll be redoing a routine oil change and a complete overhaul of the cooling system. But I want to reiterate this. This build isn't just about making the car look good or make the most amount of power. For me, it's really about understanding the system and putting together a timeline of what makes sense for me and what makes sense for the build. But I'm letting you know right now, guys, we are just getting started with this. I'm just glad that you guys have been able to follow along this entire time. And I promise, guys, there's a lot more to come. I'll catch y'all in the next one, crack killers. And like always, stay boosted.